NJROTC led by Master Gunnery Sergeant Jamie Willis. Dr. Robert Ball, Oakleaf Baptist Church, will lead us in the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance.
Father, we come before you in the name of Jesus, our Lord and Savior. And Father, we come with grateful hearts for all you've done for us, your blessings in life day by day. Father, we are thankful for the teachers here and those they represent for their work in educating our children, our sons and daughters. We thank you, Lord, not only for their work as educators, but as mentors and examples to them in life. We thank you for the administrators and those who create environments of safety and places for them to learn. Father, as this meeting begins tonight, we come to you claiming your promise, Father. You said, if any man lack wisdom, let him ask. And you would give liberally and upbraid not. So, Father, we pray over the matters that will be discussed here tonight, that it be done with your wisdom, that it be done, Lord, with humility and understanding our accountability before you. Father, bless now the work that will be done here this evening. We thank you in Jesus' name. Amen. Please say pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for the singing of our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched, were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the boats were singing air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you. You may be seated. And we have some Oakleaf High band members, if I'm not mistaken, that are going to be entertaining us in our student showcase this evening. If you haven't noticed, it's obviously a shout out to Oakleaf tonight. Very well done.
All right. Hello? There we go. I'll learn quick. All right, so first we have our duo performing Me Nut by Stephen, or not by, but performed by Stephen Brewer and Victoria Cowart. All right, and our next performance is going to be by Mr. Joe Antonacci, performing First Ballade by Frédéric Chopin. And our last performance, if they'll come out of the lobby, all right, is going to be our flute trio. Trio number 6, performed by Garrett McQuaid, Diane Wynn, and Brooke Smith.
Thank you, Oakleaf High School, for entertaining us so well, and thank you for the pre-meeting music as well. It was lovely. And we'd almost like you just to continue throughout. It sort of keeps us relaxed, not a problem. Can you come back next month? First Thursday of the month, okay? Got it. For a fee, Ms. Karakis. We are calling the school board meeting to order for this Thursday, February 3rd. Welcome, citizens of Clay County. And a quick thank you to Baron Rice, who is the music teacher of the chorus that we saw, and also to Dr. Robert Ball from Oakleaf Baptist. Thank you so much for being with us this evening. I want to take this opportunity to thank all of you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to attend tonight's school board meeting. This meeting is our opportunity as your elected representatives to collaborate openly and make decisions that will decide the future direction of our public schools and the education of our children here in Clay County. If you wish to address the board on an agenda item, there will be an opportunity to speak for 3 minutes. Please fill out a card. I have a number of cards up here already. If any of you would like to fill out a card, please do so and turn it into one of the officers on the sides of the room. Indicating the specific number or topic you wish to speak about and turn it in promptly. No additional cards will be accepted once the board moves to the public comments section under presentations from the audience. Your participation is welcomed and appreciated. The artwork today is located in the display cases over on that side of the room and has been done by Lakeside Elementary students. Chad Perry is our art teacher there. We're going to begin with recognitions of the Clay County Student Athletes of the Month. Mr. Scrumolo. So I do that every time, my gosh.
We didn't hear the first one. The second one was spot on. You're good. Thank you, Ms. Bola. Good evening, board. Good evening, Chief Academic Officer Daly. Good to see you this evening. So before we go over the Student Athletes of the Month, you're going to be blown away by these young adults. I mean, it's so impressive what they've done in such a short amount of time. I want to give you a brief update on athletics in our district as we've really done some really amazing things over the last year. Talk a little bit about GPAs and then some other initiatives that we have started. So our athletic directors are some of the best athletic directors in the state of Florida. They challenge our student athletes not only on the field but in the classroom. And the proof is in the pudding in Clay County how athletics are a springboard to high academic success. Yet again this fall, our student athletes got it done in the classroom. We have a little competition each season to who has the best cumulative grade point average. We had a 3-way tie for second place with Clay, Keystone, and Middleburg. Ridgeview came in third, and Fleming's in the lead in first place. But the Keystone Indians had the overall 3.552 grade point average, but as a district, 3.321 for all of our fall sports programs, which is something to be proud of. Another thing that we've added, which is just awesome for our community and our student athletes, is we've started a CPR, first aid, and AED training initiative. We offer this training to all of the coaches of Clay County, volunteers, and coaches that receive stipends. It's a 4-hour class. You're looking at a certified American Red Cross trainer, myself, Treasure Pickett, Brad Harvey at Keystone, and then Jared Moses at Clay High. We're all certified instructors, and it's totally free. Since the summer of 2020, we had one today. We had 9 coaches today, bringing our grand total to 299 coaches that are certified in our district. So we're at 100%, and as new coaches come in, we get them trained up. So finally, Clay County District Athletics, you're in good hands. But if the hands don't work, we also have AEDs all over our district. And this is something that's been proven through the American Red Cross that an AED saves lives much more than just CPR. We purchased 80 AEDs, and they're all over the district. There's actually one right here over on the wall in the TTC. I'm not sure if you noticed that box right next to the door. And we bought enough AEDs for our what we would call non-revenue sports. They're at golf courses. They're at swimming pools. They're at cross-country meets. And I really want to thank Dr. Legutko, Ryan Widdison. They really partnered with us with some ESSER funds to provide this. And the great part about AEDs, it's not just about kids. It's about parents. It's about grandparents. You never know when an emergency is going to strike. So we're really proud of that. So, all right, well, the first recognition is not an Athlete of the Month, but it is the only state champion in Clay County so far this year. This young lady won the 3A 50-meter freestyle swimming state championship. She also came in second in the 100-meter freestyle, and get ready, she's a sophomore. So, yeah, and unbelievable young lady, also a great student. Her mother is a drama teacher at Ridgeview High School, which is really cool, too. And she is our first and only, so far, hope we get some more, state champion. Make some noise for Marin McDade.
Parents are welcome to come up and take pictures, coaches, whichever. Congratulations, Marin.
No pressure, but there's a high likelihood we'll see her next year, too. All right, so the next individuals that we're recognizing are the Clay County Student Athletes of the Month. The way that this program works, each high school nominates the best of the best. I'm just going to tell you, these are not just people that are good at sports. They're good at everything, and it's going to be really awesome to hear about their accomplishments. The winners actually receive a certificate. They get an Under Armour jacket from our Baker Sporting Goods partner. They get 2 tickets to a Jacksonville Iceman game. The Iceman came to us and wanted to partner with that. And then this school board recognition. And on Saturday night at Clay County night at the Jacks Iceman game, they're going to get to ride the Zamboni during an intermission. So I don't know. I've never ridden a Zamboni, so it's going to be exciting. Our very first Student Athlete of the Month for the month of August, you can see all of her accomplishments. She's actually Miss Middleburg 2020. She's participated in literally almost every sport at Middleburg High School. National Honor Society, FCA, ranked 4th in her class with a 4.612 GPA. She's going to graduate with her AA degree. The Student Athlete of the Month for August from Middleburg, Aubrey Anna Mia. Our next, you can just stand right up there. There you go. Perfect. Awesome. Our next Student Athlete of the Month is from Ridgeview High School. She's a 4-year starter on the volleyball program. Ridgeview's volleyball team had the #1 ranking in the state for the majority of the season. She's in the IB program, 4.667 GPA, National Honor Society, Athletic Leadership Council, and actually, she can't be here tonight because she's on an official visit at Illinois Tech. So, but it is London Francis.
Whose mom is also a teacher here in Clay County.
Very good, very good. And then also, I know Miss Murphy from Ridgeview is back here in support, so we appreciate the admin teams coming as well. I'm just going to tell you, I had to find a very small font to fit all this on one page. And I just mean this in all sincerity. This young man, I've been around athletics my entire life, played professional baseball, been in a lot of different places. This young man is truly special. And I don't know if he's going to do great things in athletics or just great things in our world, but he's going to do great things, whatever he chooses to do. I can't even tackle all of these accomplishments. I think the biggest one athletically is last year as a junior. He was the 3-star athlete of the year for our entire district as a junior. But the classroom, I mean, #1 in his class, 4.5 GPA, just a great human being, and he is he won this award last year too, and this is his senior year. He's going out with a bang. From Keystone, Caleb Moncrief.
And his mother is a teacher at Keystone Heights High School.
And I want to, on the record, you don't have to be a teacher's child to win this award. I promise, it's just coming out that way. Oh, your mom's a teacher? There you go. I promise. Our next student athlete is ninth in her class of 2023 at Clay High. She has an unweighted 4.0 and a 4.4, 583, a weighted GPA, and a lot of clubs. The coolest thing about Janiah Stevens, she can play the piano just like that guy. So that was really, really cool. You can also see all of our Student Athlete of the Month interviews on One Clay Sports YouTube page, and we opened that interview with her playing the piano. She has a 390-pound total between her bench press and her clean and jerk.
Wow.
Really strong, really awesome. She's going to have a great run at a state title this year from Clay High School, Janiah Stevens. And our final recognition tonight, our January Student Athlete of the Month will come out here in a week or two. This young man, his parents aren't a teacher, his dad's an administrator, but nevertheless, no, he's done a great job. Oh, mom's a teacher. There we go. Football, basketball, track and field, was the county champion in the discus. 4.375 GPA is huge in Middleburg's new athletic leadership council. They're holding a lot of community events, and he's always out in front. He could not be here because he has about 40 minutes till they tip off against Ridgeview in a basketball game. But nevertheless, a great young man. Let's give a big round of applause for Wyatt Underwood.
Oh, no, the paparazzi is thick here. This is good.
Should we have called their parents up?
Thanks so much. You guys have a great evening. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Before we go on to our next recognition, I want to introduce our stand-in for the evening, Mr. Roger Daly. It's nice to have you here. You recognize that it's not Mr. Broski, but Mr. Broski happens to be on the phone. Mr. Broski, are you there?
Yes, ma'am. Let me just
Ooh,
say it.
hang on. We can sort of hear you, but not really. Let's see if we can try that again. Maybe take that off. It's on speaker, but hold it up to the microphone. Try that one more time, Mr. Broski. Are you there? Oh, gosh, we hung up on him. No. He's there. He's there. We can hear him. It's just not coming
Small.
through the up.
Technical person.
Hi, can you hear me now?
Oh,
Yeah.
now we can. There we go.
Well, let me just say this, Ms. Bola. As the former principal of Oakleaf, all I can say tonight is go Knights.
Go Knights, you betcha.
And also, congratulations to all those athletes. In all seriousness, I'm in St. Petersburg at a superintendent's conference and wish I was there, but I'm watching you on TV, but it's kind of weird because you're 30 seconds delayed
So we
in the
can
process.
say we can say anything, but you won't hear it right away. We can have some fun with this. No. All right. We're going to, he didn't respond to that, so we're going to move along. Our next recognition is Michaela Buchanan, Executive Director of the Clay Education Foundation, and she is going to be introducing some incredibly special people tonight.
Thank you, Ms. Bola. Thank you, everyone. Glad to be here tonight with you all. We're so excited because guess what tomorrow is? The Apple Awards. So we're going to be naming our Clay County Teacher and School-Related Employee of the Year around 8:30 p.m. So, be there. And it will be really, really exciting. We're giving the teacher with Garber a free car, as you might remember. And the school-related employee is getting some pretty cool stuff, too. It is just undisclosed at this time. Mr. Daly, if you want to join me and do the pictures. So I'm going to try to start with the school-related employees of the year. I was told the teachers are on top, but I kind of feel like I'm only seeing teacher names right here. So here they are. So we have top 5 finalists for School-Related Employee of the Year. Again, all of these folks will be honored tomorrow night. Melissa Holt from Fleming Island Elementary could not be here with us this evening, so we're going to hold her certificate for her, but she's phenomenal. We're actually going to meet her counterpart. The teacher that she's the assistant to is also a top 5 finalist, so they've got something going on in that classroom. From Oakleaf High School, we have Miss Martina Moore. From Oakleaf Village Elementary, we have Tammy Shumway King. From Ridgeview High School, we have Miss Erica Terry. And then from Clay Hill Elementary, we have Miss Jacqueline Edwards. If y'all want to do their pictures, you guys can take their pictures, admin teams, if wants to come. Oh, absolutely. Of course you are. Thank you very much, you all. See you tomorrow night. So I have to just say a couple things about the next group. So our Teachers of the Year, our top 5 finalists, every year it's our tradition, a couple years ago started, that we go out to dinner the Monday normally before the event, and this year it was on Tuesday. And I will tell you that over dinner I learned a lot about the folks that we're about to introduce, and Clay County should be so proud to have these people as their teachers. It is unbelievable how exceptional they are as human beings, but also in the classroom you can just tell. So without further ado, Miss Melissa Matz, Lakeside Junior High. Miss Jordan Hobbs, Middleburg High School. Miss Stephanie Navarro, Plantation Oaks Elementary. The other part to that dynamic duo, Miss Kristen Tolley, Fleming Island Elementary. And Miss Ashley Hicks from Discovery Oaks Elementary School. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you, Michaela, and thank you to all of our top 5 in both areas. We all got to give them the recognition when they hit the top 5, and oh my gosh, you people are so special. And it was so much fun, and just walking into your classrooms, and they don't skip a beat. They're like, oh, okay, fine, and then they go on continuing to teach, whatever. It was awesome. Congratulations to each and every one of you for making it this far. I have to ask, though, Middleburg High, how is the young man who twisted his knee?
Yes.
Okay,
Oh,
good.
good.
Thank you.
Glory.
Thank you. He was going to get up and give all sorts of accolades to his teacher, and he goes, oh, I think I just dislocated my knee. And we were like, oh my gosh. Thank you all so much for coming out tonight, and good luck tomorrow evening. We look forward to seeing you there. Teacher of the Year at the Thrasher Horn. Our ceremonial signing of the ratified Clay County Education Association contract. Ms. Troutman.
Good evening. This is the exciting time when we get to say, yes, contracts are ratified. But tonight we do have the official signing for the terms of agreement for the Clay County Education Association and also our Clay Educational Staff Professional Association, their contracts. They were ratified by both y'all and the union people all this year. All members get to vote, whether you are actually a member of the union or not. So I can tell you that I received many emails saying, hey, when do we vote? So our employees and our staff members are excited for this. The bargaining terms the teams, they worked very hard and to come to an agreement on both sides. And I can say that both sides of the bargaining team, they worked to show that student first is the ideal of Clay County. That everything we do on the bargaining teams, it's trying to put the needs of the students first while also meeting the needs of the employees and also the needs of the district. So it's amazing to be part of a district where collaboration is both valued and exercised. And it's shown by what we came up with. So the contracts are great, they're signed. I would like to ask Vicki Kidwell, she's the president of CCEA, and Mr. Lonnie Roberts, president of CESPA, and Miss Mary Bola, the board chair. If y'all will come, we will have y'all sign. That one's yours. Make sure you're not doing CESPA. There are 2 copies. So if you will sign both.
Oh, I even brought one.
Oh, there you go.
You have to sign 4 times.
Oh, well, fine. A pleasure.
You can move this, that way you can do it like that. Mr. Roberts? Help me. There you go.
Thank you. And there you go.
Thank you. I think this is one of the most fun things to do as chairman. Did you say yes or no?
Yes, they do want pictures. Miss Christmas? Yes. Miss Christmas, can you do pictures? Laura?
Get this.
There you go. Thank you, guys.
Well, doesn't that feel good? It feels awesome. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you, Ms. Troutman, for all of your hard work, because I know it's not something that's done easily, and also Dr. Glucko and everybody else who's been involved in this process. Our next presenter is for a school showcase, and if you don't know by now, Oakleaf High School is the school that we are showcasing this evening. So let's give it up for Matt Boyack, principal of Oakleaf.
Hello. I just want to start off by thanking you, Honorable Board and Chief Academic Officer Daly, for having us out here tonight. I promised Mr. Broski that I would keep this under 45 minutes. By Ms. Bola's laugh, maybe he meant 4 to 5 minutes, so I will throw out a bunch of stuff, but I'm very excited to be able to talk about our school, and that's Oakleaf High School. Somebody ran off with my clicker. There we go. Let's start from the beginning. Somebody already tried to speed through my presentation. So, all right. So, if you don't know anything about Oakleaf High School, we are the northernmost Clay County high school. We are home to 196 employees and around 2,700 students. We are thrilled to be a community-based school, and we have many community partners that really wrap their arms around our students and our staff and do a phenomenal job supporting all of the work that we do at Oakleaf High School. Some of those partners that we just want to recognize, the Mission Continues are some of our newest work. It's a veteran-based community service project that we're getting started and getting our students involved with. We're having a lot of really cool things donated from Kamala's Closet, helping some of our students as they have clothing needs. And ultimately, we have lots of faith-based partners as we've seen here tonight with Oakleaf Baptist and Elevate Life and Journey Church. A lot of people really love our school, and I hope to show you some of the many reasons why and how when we all contribute, we can really have a special place to learn and work. So what I want to talk about next is kind of our tradition, and it's kind of funny to say that because obviously we're one of the newer schools, but our tradition of academic excellence. We have been an A or a B school every year. Since Oakleaf High School has been graded as a part of those schools. One of the things that I'm most proud of as a principal is our 98% graduation rate. That is the ultimate goal for us, is to ultimately see our students and their families and everyone happy walking across that stage. But more importantly than that, having them leave us college and career ready. Some of our recent scores on our mid-year updates, we had the top 2022 scores on the mid-year test for biology and U.S. history in the county. We have a 91% pass rate on over 1,200 ACE exams last year. And just to show you the depth of excellence at Oakleaf High School, we have 1,581 students currently with a 3.0 GPA or higher. That's larger than most other Clay County schools. Not throwing any shade, but 494 students with higher than a 4.0 GPA. So we have lots to be proud of. We have strong students, we have strong teachers, and we have strong parental support. One of the mindsets instilled from some of our past principals that we've kind of carried on to this day is that you don't have to be bad to get better. And we try to exhibit that growth mindset in a number of ways. And one of those ways is creating that culture of collaboration. I'm going to brag on my teachers a lot tonight. And what we've realized is that if we just give them time to work together and pick each other's brains and really ultimately lesson plan and do amazing things, they're going to do things that just blow it out of the water. And that's really what we've seen this year, is focusing on that collaboration and trying to give teachers a protected time to be able to ultimately plan. Too often we see, or we have a tendency to work in silos, but as with everything we do it better together. We have high expectations for every student. At Oakleaf High School, all means all. All right, from students in our top programs to our students that come to us at risk. And we believe that every student should have those opportunities to be successful, and we try to differentiate that instruction to make sure that they are. One of the things that I and my staff is most passionate about is focusing on the whole student. We have a number of opportunities for social emotional learning. We obviously are using the Suite 360. We're using 7 mindsets. Every morning we start off with our morning mindset, our mindset of the day, talking about really being more than just academics. One of our things that we've kind of tried this year is we start every morning after the morning mindset with a connection question. I don't know if you've ever been to like Maple Street Biscuit Company or anything like that, but they have a question, then you answer it, and then they ultimately go that way. So we try to find ways for non-academic conversations, and we do those daily, from what helps you relax to pancakes or waffles to anything that can get our students and our teachers to kind of deepen that relationship, because that's something that we obviously know that our students and teachers need. When it comes to instruction, obviously the research and the push is behind differentiated instruction and trying to understand that not every student who walks into your classroom needs the same thing. And we have a responsibility to give those students what they need when they need it. So really pushing and focusing on that small group instruction. And one of the things that I'm most proud of as well is our Game Changers programs. We identify students who maybe come to us with troubled backgrounds, with troubled academic histories, and before they ever step foot on campus. Our Dean of Students and my admin team knows about them, knows about whatever we can do to help. We have set up meetings that first week of school, welcome them to our campus, let them know that they're on a fresh start, and let them know who they can go to if they need any extra assistance or anything like that. So we really try to wrap our arms around our kids in any way that we possibly can. So Oakleaf High School is home to some of our most rigorous accelerated options. One of the things we're proud of as well is our new AP Capstone program. This year we should have 5 students finish with their AP Capstone diploma presented by College Board, with showing them that they have met a rigorous academic study throughout their high school career. Really, really proud and excited to get that off the ground. This is our first year of that. Ultimately, we have an ACE program at Oakleaf High School. We have over 400 students in our ACE program. We have over 100 seniors in that ACE program, and 80% of those seniors have already earned their ACE diploma, which, as you guys know, earns them bright futures and a whole sorts of other different perks as they move on to college or whatever is next. And I will say that 100% of those that haven't earned them are on track to earn them by the end of this year. So that's something that like I said, whether you come to us with a 4.8 GPA, like Mr. Scromolo announced some of these kids having earlier, or whether you come to us with less than that, we're ready to support you in any way that we can. And then obviously we have our dual enrollment agreement with St. John's River State College. Yeah. All right. So we have 59 of our students that attend St. John's River full time. So they don't step foot on our campus. They're basically taking all college classes as seniors in high school, which is very impressive as well. And we have over 350 kids that are taking at least one class and taking advantage of that opportunity to take those college classes for free. It's a really, really cool opportunity. Some of our academies that really have amazing opportunities for our kids are their aerospace and agri-science academies. Miss Mosley and Miss Polk are working with us. We're going to build a new barn for our agri-science department. So I thought I saw them in here earlier, but we're really excited about that. We've got pigs and chickens, and this morning the cow got loose, so we had a whole lot of stuff that we need to get chained in there. So we've got a really great opportunity. 96% pass rate amongst our agri-science students on those technical certifications. So something that we take a lot of pride in there. And aerospace, we've got simulators in the classroom. If you haven't seen it, you guys should come out and test drive some of these simulators, and you can crash like I did and have a whole lot more respect for what our kids are doing on a daily basis. We have partnerships with NAS JAX. We've got partnerships with the JSO drone unit, JTech, lots of really cool hands-on experiences that our kids can go off and do and leave high school career ready. Our fine arts department, as you saw a lot of tonight, is phenomenal. They are absolutely amazing. They'll blow your mind any chance that they get. One of the things that Ms. Bola and I saw earlier this week is we're doing a lot of partnership shows, a lot of joint shows with the junior high school. So we have that smooth transition as we go through. We've seen band and chorus have done those joint type shows. Our drama department is exploding at the seams right now. They're doing a great job. We've had some huge shows this year, Disney dinner theaters, and all sorts of really fun stuff that if you get a chance, you definitely need to come check out. And I don't know what else I could say about the band. I mean, there's no doubt they're the hardest working group on our campus for sure, and they put in the work, and they're traveling every weekend and doing all sorts of things. One of the reasons tonight that they had their MPAs over at Creekside High School, so a lot of them couldn't be here, so we wanted to show off who could, but for the first time in school history earlier this year, they made the finals at the state competition and ultimately finished 5th in the state in the large school category, so we're very proud of them as well. Those career and technical electives, again, that's one of the things that Oakleaf thrives on is giving our students a pathway one way or another. We've got more electives that will lead you to a future than anybody in the county, and we've got really, really rigorous programs with that. Our HOSA club is just come back from a regional competition where they took 18 students, and 14 of those 18 students finished in the top 5 of their event. So we couldn't be prouder of them. We always have I won't say always, but we always had a 100% pass rate so far on our CNA exams as our students go through and take those. Our photography department is huge. We've got 2 full-time photography teachers getting students certified in Photoshop and all the Adobe products and visual design. Early childhood, if you haven't seen our little squires and the things that they're doing in those programs, it's amazing. We've got fashion, we've got electrical, entrepreneurship, TV production, all sorts of things in our robotics robotics class. One of the things that was really cool that we're doing this year is we have a dedicated robotics class for our IND students this year. So again, we are wrapping our arms around all of our students and trying to give them opportunities for them to be successful later on in life. NJROTC, you got to see them again tonight, and you'll see them again tomorrow night at the Apple Awards, so they'll be ready there in double duty, and they didn't skip a beat when I asked them. They're very, very proud to serve. Last week, we actually got some amazing news that we were going to have a fully accredited program next year with 2 full-time instructors for the first time ever in Oakleaf High School history. So our program is, like I said, it's like everything in Oakleaf. It's growing at the seams, and it's ready to go. We just qualified for 2 Area 12 championships in orienteering and drill. They were a great representative at the Jacksonville Veterans Day Parade as well. So NJROTC is always looking for opportunities to serve. I think I skipped one. Yep, I did. All right, so PBIS. All right, PBIS has been one of those programs that we have really used to try to wrap our arms around the whole student. One of the things that has been a pretty high honor for us is that we've been named a model school, the only secondary school in Clay to be named as a model school. We earned that honor in 2019 and again in 2021. They didn't do it in 2020 due to the pandemic, but they did give us a resilience award for our efforts there. Anytime you have a staff of 196 hardworking folks, it's hard to get everybody to know everybody, so we try to do things to bring our staff together. We had a heck of a Christmas party this year. You can see one of our monthly newsletters that we put out there. We put staff shout outs so everybody can kind of get to know everybody, and we got all sorts of different quirky facts about our staff that everybody loves to read, and have little trivia contests and those sorts of things. So just trying to find ways to bring our staff together. Action teams, our PBIS group grew so large that ultimately broke down into action teams, and each one of those teams focuses on a specific standard, whether it's discipline or community engagement or equity or all sorts of different things. Whatever we're passionate in, our teachers are really striving to make a difference in our students' lives that way. Button bingo. We love to recognize our students and our teachers. So what we've created was a Google form where you can recognize anybody. You can recognize your coworker, you can recognize a student, you can do those kind of things, and they'll get a button that our digital design and our photography teachers have teamed up to make, and we can recognize them. And ultimately, when you get 5 buttons, you can go up there, you can get recognized, you get your picture taken, you get a certificate, ultimately get a really cool prize when it comes down to it. But that's just another way that we're trying to recognize all the efforts of our students and our teachers. And obviously, if you've seen any of our Twitter or Instagram, you're familiar with our Student of the Week and our Teacher of the Week awards, really trying to spread that mission of Night Pride, of positivity and respect and integrity, drive, and ultimately engagement. Trying to find ways to recognize all the awesome folks that we have around us at Oakleaf. Athletics, growing, and growing. A lot of really cool things. We created, for the first time ever, an athletic leadership council this year, made up of students, led by students, ultimately pushing to create more cohesiveness between the athletic departments, or between the athletic sports. They do a great job of supporting each other. Had a fun student section in the end zone this year. It was a really, really good time. We had tailgates, all sorts of things to bring our students together. We did a summer seminar this year. One thing that we identified was that we wanted to teach our students a lot of things, our student athletes, a lot of things that maybe they didn't necessarily come to us learning. We wanted to teach them about nutrition. We wanted to teach them about responsible social media usage, talk to them about the scholarship process, talk to them about how to be a good teammate. So we brought all of our athletes in over for one day over the summer, and ultimately had some team building, had some bonding, had some awesome speakers. We'll bring back famous Oakleaf alums, and really try to kind of grow that every year, and our athletic director, Marcus Miller, does a great job with that. He's on top of the cutting edge with technology. We've started live streaming our games this year, so for parents and grandparents, anybody who can't make it to Oakleaf wants to watch the games, they can go online and watch and be able to enjoy from wherever it is that they want to watch. Obviously, we're working to upgrade our facilities any chance we get. We're starting beach volleyball this year. We just dumped a bunch of sand. We're ready to put in the poles. It's going to be a whole lot of fun starting in the spring. So really exciting things going on with athletics at Oakleaf High School. So I really just don't want to just be up here and talk about it. I want to invite you to some of this stuff. I really want you to come and see some of the amazing students and teachers that we have at Oakleaf High School. So I've got a couple of can't-miss events for you. Our freshman showcase, everybody comes out for it. All of our programs, all of our clubs. We've got over, I compiled the list. We've got over 59 59 clubs we counted up at Oakleaf High School, in addition to all of our sports and all of our classes and all of those amazing things. And they all come out and welcome our soon-to-be ninth grade students at the Freshman Showcase on the 22nd. We have a phenomenal Black History program that takes you through cultural, dancing, music, all sorts of amazing storytelling, history opportunities. That's coming up on the 24th. Our Miss OHS pageant is always one of the top ones around. That's actually last year's Miss OHS up there on the screen. Her name's Taylor Silkert, and she was actually named Miss Senior High, representing all of Northeast Florida for her. She's an amazing young lady, and if you come out, I'm sure you'll get to meet her then. Culture Night has always been a big thing, but we actually combined recently Culture Night and our Art Walk. Our students will do a chalk walk where we'll probably have over 30 students decorating a square out in front of the school. They come up with some amazing designs. You can see one of them up there last year. It's amazing what they can do with chalk. And ultimately, we'll have food trucks, we'll have vendors, we'll have art displays. A lot of community partners will come out for that. And then we'll go inside for Culture Night and really have a good time with songs and music and dance and fashion shows and all sorts of other things. If you like band, we've got a band film music concert coming up. They do a great job with just kind of taking you through the movies. And I mean, they surprise you every year with what they can play, and it's remarkable just how close they sound and how well that orchestra plays together. It's really impressive. And then obviously graduation. I know you guys tend to have prior engagements, but somebody's with us, and you get to see the most graduates in Clay County walk across that stage and see one heck of a firework display, absolutely. So, all right, so as I start to kind of wrap this up, I really want to leave you with the message that at Oakleaf High School, we are all about the kids and all about graduation and all about leaving our school and our community a better place than it was when they got there, making sure that they leave college and career ready. I really do hope that you'll come and join us at one of our upcoming events. I'd love to have you. We will definitely take care of you. But I wanted to leave you with a few goodie bags as well to kind of take care of you and show you a little bit of the spirit of Oakleaf. All right, so if you guys would bring them up for me, please. I'll talk you through some of the things in there. So our aerospace department wanted to put some of their mugs together for you. So you got some aerospace mugs. You should have a little aloe plant that we've been growing in our greenhouse with our agri-science department. Some of our examples of our button bingos are going to be there. You've got some personalized buttons. Athletics threw in some of the cold weather gear that we're going to be having, so you'll see that in there. Got some polos and some things in there, but we really just wanted to leave you with some of the amazing things that our students and staff put together for you guys, and we thank you for allowing us to have the opportunity to present to you here tonight.
I appreciate it. Very nice.
Thank you so very, very much. Wow. Wow. This is, I feel,
Yeah.
it's
our
Christmas.
birthday.
That's right. Thank you so much. Oakleaf has so much going on for it right now, and it's wonderful to see. And obviously, under phenomenal leadership. Thank each and every one of you for all that you do. It's awesome. And you forgot to mention that you have the Assistant Principal of the Year at Oakleaf. We can't forget that. And it was great that you talked about the career and technical side of education, because we have another presentation tonight that I accidentally skipped over, and I do apologize. We are inviting next Alice Paulk and Kelly Mosley up, who are our supervisors for career and technical education.
And we thank you for the directions on the plant.
Oh. Very good.
All right, it is a pleasure to be here tonight to talk about career and technical education. We love coming every year, and over the past several years, we've done some different things. You might remember our Mythbusters series last year, where we were busting some of those myths that we hear out in the community, like we don't teach vocational education anymore, or we need more construction trades programs. And then one year we talked about, the places that you can go with CTE. But this year, we really wanted to focus on our CTE advisory boards, because that's something that you may not realize that we had. So we wanted to shed some light on that and how they support our 130 career and tech ed teachers who teach those 11,000 students who earn about 2,300 different industry certifications that we reported for Clay County last school year. So our CTE advisory boards, the primary purpose for them is to assist our educators in establishing, operating, and evaluating our CTE programs. It is incredibly important for us to hear from business and industry about the trends and things that are going on in the industry, because we need to teach our students the most current things that are going on so that they're prepared whenever they leave high school. And even though this is a requirement for our Perkins grant and our CAPE funding, we really feel like our advisory boards are the foundation for business partner engagement. So our three main functions of our advisory board are to advise, assist, and to advocate for CTE programs. And so our business partners, they give us advice on many different things. Like, for example, at our meetings, we might look at our curriculum frameworks from the Department of Education that tell us what we have to teach. But they might say things like, you know, you need to spend more time on this particular standard or maybe less time on this. Or we're seeing an issue with this whenever we have graduates come out. Can you please spend some more time on this particular standard? They also give us some ideas of different equipment and tools that we might need. We always bring up any big spending purchases that we have to do for our Perkins grant and our advisory boards for our business partners to vet those purchases and make sure that those are actually the right decisions that we need to make for what's going on in the industry. As well as textbooks and software, because it really doesn't do our students any good if we're using outdated or materials that aren't used in the industry whenever they go into those careers. They also assist us in so many ways. And for example, today we actually had our construction programs that visited the Baptist Clay facility here in Fleming Island, and it was hosted by Haskell Company. And Jeb McClendon, the young man that I shared the article with you about, that was featured in the Clay today, a Middleburg High School graduate from several years ago, he actually spoke to them, as well as a whole team of people from Haskell. They took them through the hospital. They showed them all the different things with healthcare. They had folks there from Miller Electric and WWGA. And then they flip-flopped with other Clay County students while they were at Stellar as they are building the Borland Groover Surgery Center on Wells Road. And so that activity was a discussion that came out of an advisory board meeting this school year and a field trip that was put in place. We also have the mock job interviews that many of you have actually participated in. And for many years, we did those in person. But whenever the pandemic came, we heard from our business partners saying, we still need to do those. Those are really important. That's something that a lot of our folks struggle with. So our college and career coaches were tremendous in getting Chromebooks, and we did virtual mock job interviews. And we heard from a lot of business partners that that's really the way things are going anyway. So we are still currently, even though we can have in-person mock job interviews, we still do a lot of those online. Another example that I think is pretty comical, actually, from our teaching and learning advisory board is there is a situation where the kids have to actually call with one of their industry certifications and make an appointment. But students nowadays, they struggle with talking on the telephone, not texting or using their telephone, but actually making phone calls and making appointments. So as part of that advisory board, the business partners were like, okay, well, we'll do phone interviews. So as part of that Teaching and Learning Academy, we had our early childhood students across the county actually doing phone interviews instead of in person or with our Chromebooks to do those so that they could simulate real life of actually having to make an appointment and work with those business partners that way. So those are just a few of the ways that our business partners assist through our advisory boards, even things like judging our career and technical student organization competitions. Mr. Boryak just mentioned the HOSA competition that our health science students competed in. Many of you have judged for us for FFA and FBLA, a lot of those, and our business partners do that as well. And as well as advocate. They create awareness for our CTE programs. You might see on some of their social media pages that they're sharing about CTE month. Today, we actually just had our agriculture advisory board meeting, and they were talking about ways that they could share about FFA week that's coming up later in the month. So we have 14 different advisory boards. You can see them listed here. But there's a couple things that I want to point out about this. We used to always meet in person, but with the pandemic, we moved to meeting virtually because for compliance reasons, we still need to have these meetings. But we found that we had even better business partner engagement because it was just easier for them to hop on the Google Meets to participate. And so it also opened up some opportunities for us to transition to county-wide advisory boards and maybe not burn out our business partners as much. We would have a couple of different health science advisory boards, but we consolidated them into one so that our folks from Baptist, Orange Park Medical, St. Vincent's, they weren't having to go to multiple meetings. Another issue that we encountered a couple years ago was we were hearing from some of our teachers in Keystone that it was difficult for them to go to far ends of the county. So we put in place a school-wide CTE advisory board for them there at their school. And so we have different business partners representing all those CTE programs, and they meet school-wide. But we have found that many of them, now that we have the virtual advisory boards, they still participate with their content area as well. Another thing about our 14 advisory boards is we heard from our business teachers who said, we really need a digital design advisory board. And so we made some changes with our advisory boards this year where we have all of our ViStar business academies on one advisory board. And then we reached out and we got new business partners for digital design so that those business partners, so that those teachers would have something specific for digital design. And part of our CLNA process that many of you participated in back in the fall, we heard loud and clear that IT and cybersecurity is something that we really need to focus on. And so that was another new advisory board that we have added to our programs this year, where we have folks, the IT directors from Clay County Utility, Clay Electric, Orange Park Medical Center, Pragmatic Works, and Citibank, and as well as the Board of County Commissioners. So these are all the different advisory boards that we have in the county, and they meet 2 to 3 times per year. We usually try to have one by September around this time of year and then a wrap up at the end of the school year. They meet in person, and in addition to our business partners that we have from the industry, we also always invite and have participation from our post-secondary partners so that we can make sure that we're cohesive in that pipeline, as well as school administrators, school counselors, students, and teachers. And our college and career coaches that do an absolute tremendous work, they also facilitate these advisory boards by sending out the meeting minutes, sending out the notices, working with our chairmen to develop the agendas. And so they do a tremendous job in helping us from the office to support the work of these advisory boards. But tonight, I also wanted to recognize a special group of people, and these are the chairs of our advisory board. These are a few of them that are here tonight, and so I'm going to call them up if they will come, and Alice is going to help us present some certificates to them as we recognize them for the tremendous service that they give our career and technical education programs. So from Design Build, we have David Harp. David was actually a graduate of Middleburg High School. He was in the electrical program. You might remember he spoke a couple years ago for CTE Month as well. From Digital Design, this is our new advisory board, our very own Trudy. And then Channing Hinton from ViStar. They are our advisory board chairs. At that advisory board meeting, it was the first time I'd ever had 2 people volunteer to be the advisory board chair, and I wanted to give them a virtual hug. I was so happy that both of them volunteered to be the chairs that day. From engineering, this is probably our most long-standing advisory board chair, and that's Joe DeMarco. His wife, Mary Ellen, is one of the engineering teachers at Orange Park High School. He is very involved in the ACE mentoring program. His children have been in ACE mentoring, and Joe has done a tremendous work for our engineering program at Orange Park High School. And then we have teaching and learning, Jade Wynn from UNF. Jade helped us work out a dual enrollment agreement so that we can have future teachers getting dual enrollment credit, and that was part of the work of that advisory board as well. Then we have criminal justice. We have Miss Juanita Walker and Ashley Barber. Ashley's from the Clay County Sheriff's Office, and Miss Juanita is from the Putnam Correctional. She's a great neighbor to come and support our criminal justice programs. Kimberly Morgan, she couldn't be here tonight from Hospitality and Tourism, but we have Jack Garrett from Garber Automall, and he is the chair of our Automotive Advisory Board. And then last but not least, we have Beth Hammock, and she is with ViStar, and she is the deals with all of our ViStar programs in Clay County, and she also chairs that ViStar Advisory Board. So again, I just wanted to say thank you to all of you for all the work that you put into our students and recognize you publicly in front of this great group of people who also is committed to the students of Clay County.
Thank you so much, and thank you so greatly for your support to all of these programs. It's phenomenal when you hear the numbers of certifications and the numbers of teachers and students that are involved. You guys rock. And truly, Alice and Kelly are rock stars. Thank you for all that you do. And looking forward, I think it's virtual interviews next week at Clay, so good job. Thank you. At this time, this is the last call for comment cards. If anyone is interested in making a comment, we ask you to fill out a yellow card and give it to one of our officers. Thank you. We do have a number of cards that have already been addressed, so let's get started with those. Our first speaker is Linda Lyons, and when you come to the podium, just a couple of reminders. We ask for your name and your address, and we also remind you that you have a 3-minute time limit. Thank you.
Linda Lyons, 3660 Waterside Drive, Orange Park. I'm attending this meeting tonight to request that the school board change their historical stance on drop extension due to the severe teacher shortage that we are now experiencing. I have spoken with the Florida Department of Education that assured me I was eligible for an extension with approval of the superintendent. In October, I reached out to the school board, Mr. Brodsky and Ms. Troutman. Since this has to be approved every year, no longer than 3 years, I do not understand how this doesn't benefit all concerned. If suddenly there's an influx of teachers, then my drop would not be extended again. Today, I submitted the paperwork the county office said was required. In the email providing that information to me, I was told that they feel obligated to let me know that this has historically never been approved in the past, giving me the impression that I can fill out the paperwork if I want to waste my time. Many things occurring in education today have not happened in the past. As of January 31st, there were 36 open teacher positions. An email was sent out offering $500 bonus to anyone that could recommend a bus driver for hiring. Kelly Service is waiving their fingerprinting fee and offering $20 daily bonuses. Teachers are leaving to enter the business world all over the country. The number of resignations and out-of-field teachers has doubled since this time last year. Due to the lack of teachers, long-term substitutes and teachers without homeroom classes have become the teachers indefinitely. The shortage of substitutes creates even another problem. Classes are doubled up, which is a concern due to the pandemic. ESA teachers are being asked to substitute to cover a class, causing their own students not to receive their ESE minutes. With the much-needed increase in pay for starting teachers, the gap in salary between veteran teachers and new teachers has been significantly closed. In fact, my retirement is based on 5 years ago at $47,800. Yes, a long-term substitute would be cheaper, but is that the county's goal? Is it cheaper education or quality education? I was fortunate to have the opportunity to teach in the VE self-contained reading program. As a result, I was provided with numerous training sessions for curriculum and strategies to assist the ESE students. This knowledge has been invaluable to me as I transition into the inclusion world. I am currently the ESE team leader with a diverse team of 16 teachers. With a high rate of turnover of teachers, I've been responsible for training new people on ESE policies and writing of IEPs. Additionally, with long-term substitutes being in some of the classrooms, I've been responsible for writing IEPs for multiple classrooms. I am sure that I am not the only teacher that is willing and wanting to extend their drop date. I have found that I still have my passion for teaching and working with the students. I know we're all replaceable, but I am hoping you're given the opportunity to continue teaching and helping out my peers during this difficult time.
Perfect. Thank you, Ms. Lyons. Perfect timing. Next, Shannon Hubie. And correct me if I'm wrong in pronouncing your last name, please.
My name is Shannon Hubie, 3654 Thousand Oaks Drive, Orange Park, Florida. Good evening. As I stand here before you tonight, it is difficult because in my heart, I fear retaliation against my kids. Maybe not directly to them, but retaliation against those who care and advocate for them during the day when I'm not with them. You probably think this is an insane assumption, but I assure you it does happen. You see, I have a somewhat unique position in this county. Not only am I a parent, I am a teacher and a union rep as well. So I have heard and seen more than the average parent would. Superintendent Broski said during the last school board meeting, roughly at the 1 hour, 12-second mark, that the district is providing excellent customer service because there are no public comments that evening. Well, let me just tell you, maybe you should check your email, the ones that you aren't replying to, because I know that I have emailed you twice this year with no response. And maybe if other teachers and parents didn't fear the retaliation that I mentioned earlier, they would be much more willing to comment. You see, as you sit up there as our representatives elected by your districts, I don't think you truly understand the ramifications of the decisions that are made at a district level. For example, when the district changed the labeling from the classrooms of ASD to VE, it opened a door to students who do not have an ASD label to be put in a classroom that should be geared toward students on the spectrum, and then wrongly placed in a classroom that already has students with behavior concerns. These students can disrupt an already volatile environment. Maybe it was to cut down the cost of hiring another teacher or assistant, but what you are actually doing is cutting the free and appropriate public education that our students deserve. They can't learn with that kind of daily disruption in the classroom, and it's not fair to either side because the students placed wrongly in there who are not ASD are not getting the services that they deserve either. They always say that children are our future. But when I look at the things happening in this classroom, I feel that as adults we have lost sight of that. And the things that have happened in the classroom, like only remembering ratios are part of a special education classroom when it's convenient for admin, is an atrocity. Hearing that 8 or 18 in a classroom, it doesn't matter because those kids can't learn anyways. And that was a direct quote from one of your administrators. Yeah, they can work, and you need to look no further than the growth of my own children who they have made in the last few years. And I will willingly sit down with any of you to show the difference from when a classroom has 7 or 8 students in it versus 13 to 15. Just because a child has a label that you might not understand doesn't mean that that child cannot learn. I assure you that some of these kids are made more intelligent than we are. I'm going to skip to one other part today because it happened after I had already wrote my speech. But today my child was denied lunch at their school by a district employee from the nutrition department. Their teacher was told that they are not to take lunch for them anymore because they don't eat it. Let me say this again. My children were denied food provided free to the students of this county. Well, she's right about one thing. They might not always eat, but how will they learn if they are not exposed? And it is on one of my son's IEPs, right here, an IEP for one child, that if the food is to be given, it is to touch his lips, and then if he chooses not to eat, then he can eat what is sent from home. But he is to be offered that food first. It is part of his speech and language feeding IEP. So today, his IEP, a legal document, was violated. I get that my time is up, but there is so much more that I want to say.
Thank you, Ms. Hubie.
Mr. Daly, would you have a staff member get her information and set up a meeting with Mr. Broski or with staff so that we can discuss and correct that problem?
Certainly.
Gilbert, would you do me the honor of maybe capturing her contact information?
Thank you, Ms. Gilbert.
Thank you.
Patricia Schaefer.
Patricia Schaefer, my address is on file. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. Hearing stories like this is why I keep showing up, month after month, meeting after meeting, and talking about what's happening within ESE services throughout Clay County. We have fantastic teachers and support staff within the county. However, when administration decides that they need to pull an ESE teacher out of a classroom and throw someone else in to cover an ESE classroom, those children are not getting their accommodations. Their IEPs are not being met. How can they? The person that's thrown in the classroom doesn't know them, doesn't know how to reach these kids. These are our most vulnerable students within Clay County. Why are you're putting more onus on ratios and data than actual education? I know that we've got a teacher shortage, but let's put it in perspective. At one school, we had 21 teachers out one day. We had 4 subs provided through Kelly Services. One of those subs only taught 1 class. That left 17 classrooms unattended at the start of the day. The teachers that are at that school bust their butts, excuse my language, to cover those classes. But a body in front of kids that don't know how to teach them because they don't know what's in their IEP is unfair. You're widening the gap by the decisions that you make. I implore every board member, please go and sit in a VE classroom, an EBD classroom, and any other special ed classroom and see what these teachers are dealing with. See what your decisions that you're telling them and they have to deal with, what effect it has on these kids. Enough is enough. We're losing teachers left and right. Give them the supports they need to help the most vulnerable within our county. Enough is enough. We need to stop the violations of IEPs and 504s before parents keep filing complaints. Is that what it's going to take? Is the Florida Department of Education to come in here and see what's happening within our county? I'm begging you, go and see what's happening to these kids. It's unfair and it needs to stop. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Schaefer. Roseanne Vernon.
Good evening, and thank you for taking the time to listen. Roseanne Vernon, address is on file. I'm one of the lost teachers. After 17 and a half years of teaching, 10 and a half of them in the Florida State school system, and 4 and a half in Clay County, I resigned over the holiday, gave plenty of notice, made sure all of my paperwork is in order. I'm here because of this. This was handed to me right before this meeting. I was told to keep this fact-based and data-based, so I emailed you a 3-page, what I was gonna talk about, and I timed myself, and it would have taken 9 minutes. So I only have 3 minutes, so please read the data, please read the facts. This is what is happening at the school that I resigned from. I am just one teacher who is literally sticking my potential future career that I love on the line to make sure that this gets open to the public, to make sure that things aren't getting swept under the rug that we just heard about, because I saw them happening every single day. It's a good thing we're required to close and lock our doors, because that was the only way that I could ignore what was going on around me in the school, to ignore the blatant disrespect, the breaking of rules, and the things that are happening. And I know we have a shortage, I'm part of it now. But that's no excuse not to train the particular administrator that has particularly helped our school to lose many teachers, some of whom will be more than happy to talk to you and have talked to you, and some of whom are scared because they do want to have future careers. We love these kids. I love these kids. This was the hardest decision that I have ever made in my 42 years, is to have to not stick it out the year. I was trying so hard to stick it out the year, but when there are blatant lies and blatant disrespect and rules not being followed for every child in my classroom, where my children are witness to violence in my first grade classroom and nothing is done because apparently one child is more important than the whole. That goes against the grain of my philosophy. So I had to do what was right, even though it's the hard thing to do. And I stand before you broken, but I will be here as long as I need to be. These aren't even my children. These are my students. I could teach anywhere. You all know how many shortages are in the country. I was already offered jobs. I could teach anywhere, but now I have a connection to this school. I love this school. I hate to see it go down like this. It can be fixed. People can learn. People can change, but maybe people need retraining. Person in this case. I said that I left because of an issue. A lot of people thought it was because of a hard student that was put in my class. Let me say before the board, that is not why. I love that child so much that I literally got a sub for my classroom so I could one-on-one with her to see how I could better help her. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Vernon. Ashley Douglas.
Hello, my name is Ashley Douglas, 4141 Upper Mill Circle in Orange Park, Florida. I'm here today as a parent, very concerned at the school that my son goes to. Did not know that it was a lot of teachers that's out of jobs, basically. Also, I'm here because of the school, his couple of teachers are bullying him. Also, we have administrations that's bullying the teachers there also. As everybody else here is saying that, you know, we would like for you guys to come and view the school. Me as a parent, I would like, you know, my child to have a great education also, and all the other kids there to have a great education. And I personally don't think bullying should be a part of the school system. So that's basically what I have to say.
Thank you very much. Yvette Garcia.
Hi, my name is Yvette Garcia. I live at 575 Oakleaf Plantation Parkway, Unit 309, Orange Park, Florida. And I'm here in support of Miss Vernon. My son was a first grader in her classroom. I didn't even know what was going on. I know that I had called in a meeting with Ms. Vernon just to check on my son's academic and behavioral, health. And when I left the school, I told my family, I said, I know why Julian loves Miss Vernon. Like, she's great, and she's so engaging, and she's so fun, and she's just another outlet for him, especially because I just had a baby, and he was the only child for so long. But he was so excited about school, and I know that there's a new teacher, and it's going to take time for him to adjust and the teacher to adjust. But I really feel that the school lost a very valuable person at the school, a teacher, a mentor, not even for Julian, but just me as a parent. I wanted to be better and just kind of like have that connection and really have my son excel in life, even though he's in first grade and it's just starting. But I really wasn't aware of all the issues in the school. A parent reached out to me and told me what was going on. And my niece is on the spectrum, and she lives in New Jersey, and she gets the education and the care that she needs, and she's really high on the spectrum. And so just to even know that another student who was on the spectrum was at a disadvantage makes me sad on both ends, for my son, for Miss Vernon, and for the child that didn't have the proper tools that she needs for her educational growth. This is my first Board of Ed meeting, so I'm a little nervous and emotional, but I just want to say that Miss Vernon is so great, and thank you so much. And my son, he's gonna go to bed late tonight when there's a spelling test tomorrow, because he had to be here for Miss Vernon, and he's the one that gave her the heart, and he told me on the drive here that he was gonna hug her 2 million times, so for me not to be jealous. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you for sharing. And Ms. Vernon, we did get your email this afternoon. Unfortunately, we don't have the opportunity in between meetings to respond, but thank you. We will be very much aware of that. Mr. Chuck Stewart.
Hi, I'm Chuck Stewart, 1385 Lakewood Lane in Fleming Island, Florida. Members, Mr. Brusky on the phone, Mr. Daly, and staff, thank you for having a little bit of time here to talk in front of the board. I'm Chuck Stewart. I'm retired out of the Navy after 27 years. I was fortunate to finish my career in the Navy as commanding officer of the Naval Aviation Depot over at NAS Jacksonville. So a wonderful place, by the way. If you ever get a chance to visit there, it's a really cool tour, I'll tell you. After retirement, my family, my wife, my kids, and I are very proud to call Clay County our home. So I'm here today to talk to you about a form. It's a consent form, and it's the health services consent form that recently came out. And the reason I want to talk to you about the form is because it's probably unnecessarily vague and broad. And I understand the reason that it's vague and broad. The Parental Bill of Rights just came out, and Title 49. And part of Florida 1014.06 is the parental consent for health services. And so that in itself was very broad and perhaps vague. And so the reaction by our school district is to come up with a very broad and vague health services form. So there's a couple things on the form, though, and I apologize, I should have thrown a copy out here for everyone on here, but it covers 6 different topic areas. Things like first aid, vision screening, immunization, et cetera. But a couple of things are pretty broad, such as health education on specific health topics and approaches to wellness. Now, this is so vague and broad, it could consider things like counseling, it could have health education of things like gender identity or whatever. I mean, it can have anything in there possibly could be in that particular item. A little later on in the form, it says, I understand that in case of accident or serious injury, the parent would be notified. I'd like to point out that the Parental Bill of Rights was all about communication. And really, for anything on this form, whether it was first aid or assistant with administration of doctor-ordered medications or assistant with doctor-ordered minor or complex chronic health conditions, all of those things, I'd say, parents would want to be informed of. And that was kind of where the Parental Bill of Rights was going. And then, in addition to that, the last thing, something like health regulation on specific health topics, it would be great for then that to have an asterisk and perhaps a link to where parents could go and see what those topics are or what those things are because they're consenting to it in the form. Okay, why am I talking about a form here today? All right, Clay County's awesome, and Clay County has none of those problems that we see. Until very recently, right? Now we see, Perez versus Patterson Elementary. So now it's national news. And I'd like to leave you this. I know I'm right at 3 minutes, but just for another 20 seconds, I'd like to just say that as CEO of the depot, I had an opportunity where in one of our bathrooms, there was, someone wrote in one of the stalls a noose caricature, and someone saw that. And it was, it was a thing. And so the way we handled that was my executive officer and I took the time to go, first we did an investigation, and then we went work center to work center to work center. And we talked to every single employee, 4,500 employees at that depot. It took a little bit of time, but I had a great mentor that told me never fail to take full advantage of a good crisis. Communication is where we want to go, and this can be changed with a little bit of communication, and I recommend it. Thank you.
Thank you. That is the end of our public comment. One item was pulled from the consent agenda because there was an update with it, and that is C3. And that will be dealt with later. And at this point, I will be asking for a motion to adopt the consent agenda.
I'll move approval.
A second.
Ms. Karakis moved approval. Ms. Bullock second. Is there any discussion? Not hearing any discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The consent agenda any nay? I didn't hear any. Consent agenda passes on a vote of 5-0.
Mrs. Bola, may I say something?
Please.
That last gentleman who spoke, the form that he's talking about, Mr. Daly, I'd like you to ask staff to look into that, to see, is that a form that the state sent, that we're just using the state's form, or is that one that we've developed on our own? And I know you don't have the answer tonight. So
I do have part of the answer tonight. So, the gentleman is correct. It is statute 1014.06, and it's a Florida statute, and it does address parental rights. And essentially, now we need written consent for students to receive care in our school health rooms. And he was absolutely spot on that this could cover almost an infinite number of possibilities. And it is quite broad. And the revision to it for the letter that went out, and just for the record, there is an opt-out form for parents who don't agree to it. They don't have to consent to it and that type of thing. But having said that, how to cobble together something that explains everything and every infinite possibility in a form was very challenging. And this was done with our local Department of Health in conjunction with them and with the approval of our school board attorney. Having listened to the comments, so I think there are some valid points. I kind of liked the idea about maybe creating a link to other ideas, and so it is a new process. It is something that is evolving in real time, and I think that listening to the gentleman's comments there, it's worthy of continued examination and discussion, and I will reach out to Mrs. Fogarty because it's in climate and culture, and she's away at a conference now, but I'll speak to her Monday, and we'll continue to work together to improve the communication with our stakeholders on these issues. So I thank him for coming up with those.
Right.
So I'll tell you, I had one constituent reach out to me with concern about that form, and it was specifically about the health education portion of it. And so my recommendation to her was, if you're comfortable signing consent with the rest of the form, but you take exception to that one thing, attach a note to it and say, you have my consent, but in the case of any health education pertaining to my child, I will need separate communication regarding that. And that's a way that you can be specific with your consent. This is what I'm consenting to. I am not consenting to this. And that's true with just about any portion of your child's education, whether it's, there are some parents who object to having a guidance counselor give instruction or counsel to their child, and they can attach a note to their child's teacher that goes in the folder that says, if there's guidance counseling happening, my child is to be opted out and sent to the library or sent to an alternative location during that time. So just know that your Clay County School District supports your right as a parent to your child's education.
And maybe we could look at that form and add something to it so that if there is one specific topic that a parent takes exception to, they can just fill it out on that form and then they'll approve the rest of it. And sir, thank you for bringing that to our attention, because, you know, if you hadn't pointed it out, we weren't aware of it. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Daly.
Yes, ma'am.
Were you able to vote?
Thank you. We, everybody voted.
Okay.
We went ahead and
Oh,
just
okay. I was
voted.
gonna say,
Ms.
'cause
Honora
mine didn't
voted
come up
for all of us.
online.
Because it came
Thank
up and some of us voted, some of us did not, but
Thank
we
you.
had passed it
Thank you.
verbally, so. Okay. CCA update. Ms. Kidwell.
So, it was beautiful today, wasn't it? Tonight's showcase of Oakleaf High School, the students, the staff, the music, the athletes, and the community partnerships, they're a reminder that we need to celebrate. Our support personnel and our educators that work hard every day and give so much, we have to cherish them because they're in short supply. And you know, when you're facing the ongoing challenges that are confronting our public schools, it's easy to feel overwhelmed. And usually I stand up here and give you all the bad news. Lots of other people tried to give you a glimpse of the struggle, the challenge. And I think that, you know, sometimes it's important for someone else's voice to speak up because, you know, when you hear it more and more and more, I think, you know, maybe it starts to sink in. But every time a teacher is not in a classroom or a support person is missing from a bus or isn't there, the aide isn't there in the ESE class or isn't there for the entire semester. They're out, they're short an aide an entire semester, or a teacher is pulled from an ESE student's class to cover another class. Those shortages are different than they are in the outside world. School is its own community. And what's happening to the teachers and what's happening to the aides and what's happening to the support, that's the life of these students. That's their education. They only get one first grade, one second grade. You know, that day, they never get that day back to achieve and to be recognized like their teacher would recognize them. And so that hit me profoundly because that's right. I mean, we're big, you know, and it's hard. I know you have to look at the big picture, but teachers look at every kid. Every kid is essential. Every kid is valuable, and every kid is the future. We can't lose sight of that. So thank you for speaking up because that's what we keep saying over and over again. But they're in there and they're living it. And we keep saying, tomorrow's going to be better. Tomorrow's going to be better. And we hope so. And that's what we're holding out for. But we can't lose sight of how this shortage, this crisis, is affecting every child, especially our most vulnerable, especially them. And I am especially worried about our ESE population because I hear the stories all the time and I share them with district that those shortages are affecting them profoundly. They need someone who understands them and every day in their class, and they don't have it. So I urge you to feel that urgency that those teachers and those parents are trying to put across to us because I know it seems insurmountable, but you know what? We've got to innovate our way out of this. Maybe Ms. Lyons is right. Maybe we need to look at some things we've never done before and make some choices that maybe are hard, but you know, think outside the box again. We're good at that, right? We've done it before. We can do it. I don't think we should take anything off the table. Everything should be up for debate in solving this problem because every day that these kids don't have what they need, we're responsible for that. You know, a school, you know, is a building that holds the future. It's in our hands.
Thank you, Ms. Kidwell. Did Mr. Roberts leave? Oh, thank you.
I hadn't really planned to speak tonight until Mr. Roberts had to step out. We're super excited about the contract, of course. We worked really long and hard on that and happy that we're finally have that all settled. But what I really wanted to talk to you about tonight was a few weeks ago, we lost our dear friend, Becky Smith. I know that most of you remember her. She was a fierce advocate. She kept the plight of our non-instructional folks in the front all the time. She loved all of you, even the ones that she hasn't met. She loved you all. And she's going to be missed by CESPA, by her family. And just for Becky, just this once, I just want to say to you, what the crap.
Thank you for that. Thank you for bringing Becky back to our school board meeting. Because there were many times before I was on the board and after I got on the board where we would see her at this podium and I would just think, oh my gosh, she can get away with so much. And her heart was always in it, always in it. Thank you so much. Here's to Becky. Our superintendent's update and presentations. Mr. Broski?
We are going to have a very brief conversation tonight. Just want to say how proud I am of everyone. Go Oakleaf, and from St. Petersburg, Florida. You guys are doing an awesome job.
Thank you kindly. Mr. Daly, do you want to add anything? Add anything to that? You're good? Awesome. We are going to move D1, that discussion item, to the end of the meeting. We have no special actions, and we are going to go to the personnel consent agenda. I pulled that because in the personnel consent agenda, we had a variation in someone was retiring and chose to stay to help train, if I'm not mistaken?
Correct.
Ms. Troutman?
Correct. In our payroll department, there's some restructuring, and she has agreed to stay and help with the transition, so she is rescinding her resignation.
That's awesome. Thank you. And please
you
thank her.
approve Thank you.
So I will accept a nomination, a motion, pardon me, for approving the personnel consent agenda.
So moved. Second.
Ms. Gilhausen moved and Ms. Carrica second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No? Okay, everybody, now is the time to vote.
It's not coming up on my screen, that's why I had the question, the voting part.
Did you try the refresh button? Sometimes
Did it come up on yours?
It came up on mine.
If you go over to the left by your arrows, that circle button.
Mine says oops.
Oh.
Agenda not available. But please just vote for me. It was our last item anyway. That's what it says. Oops. Agenda not available for board members. Invalid access.
Okay, now I can vote, thank you.
Okay, everybody has voted according to this, so we're good.
It's a miracle.
All right, Mr. Bickner, do you have anything that you would like to discuss with us this evening, aside from what we're discussing later? Thank you kindly. School board remarks. Ms. Gilhausen.
So we discussed at our workshop, I have recently taken a full-time teaching position in Duval, and we meet for a workshop once a month to review the agenda the Tuesday before the meeting, and normally we meet at 9, but obviously that's right in the middle of the school day. So my request is that we move it to 4:30 so that I can be there in person. I think it's important as a board member that I'm in attendance physically for every meeting that we schedule. And I would hope I would have my fellow board members' support in that.
Comments, discussion?
Well, my concern, of course, is not just us, but it's the staff that have to be impacted too, because that's after their workday, and it's quite a few staff members. And the other thing is, of course, when that originally we agreed at the 9 o'clock time, then I changed a lot of things to make sure that I freed up that time, and I have things now scheduled in those afternoons. And some I don't really have control over anymore. But so that's my concern, and because I'm the one who drives probably the furthest for all this, it would be a little bit of a hardship for me, and I certainly understand your concern Now, are you going to be there till May or, I mean,
Correct, yeah, it would be for February's meeting, March, April, and May. And
Okay.
then in the summertime, if we want to revert back to the morning, I could do that.
yeah,
Or if you want to keep it in the morning and change the, okay, so spring break happens in March, but I know our staff sometimes
Yeah.
takes time off during spring break too. So I want to be as flexible as I possibly can be. It's not I'm not trying to make anybody have to work late.
Yeah.
I would hope that there'd be an opportunity to flex time if they need to, or, if it's not necessary for every staff member to attend every workshop meeting, if there's not something on the agenda specifically that they need to address. But, it is a meeting of the board, so I think it's important that as a board member, I'm there.
I agree with you. And I'm sorry that your schedule has changed, but I kind of feel like as a board, we have to be respectful of the 25 staff members that are there. Is there any way you could take flex time in the morning and phone in?
No, I have a class.
Yeah.
So
Well, we didn't always have an agenda review, and since it is just 4 of them, maybe you could independently meet with the superintendent or staff at your convenience, and, we'll continue with the 9 o'clock in the morning, since I'm available, so I'm flexible with it, but I don't think we should inconvenience another board member because of someone else's schedule changing, as well as, how many staff members do we have in reality? 15, 17 that show up, 18?
I understand what you're saying, but there's a big difference between an inconvenience and an obligation. I can't take time off out of my classroom from work to be at a meeting.
But you had this obligation first, and you have these obligations for the school board. You know that we have that, Tuesday morning meeting at 9 a.m.
Correct,
like we know
but
we have
there's
a 6
absolutely
p.m.
no reason that it can't be rescheduled.
Mhm.
I understand that it would be a change
Right.
and possibly an inconvenience, but it's not impossible to reschedule it.
So you think we should inconvenience a fellow board member and all the staff? And I'm not trying to be controversial here, but I just cannot for the life of me. I think if I were the one who decided for the next 4 months I'm going to take a job teaching, then I would understand that I would have to miss certain things, and that I'm the one that would have to be inconvenienced, not asked to inconvenience everybody else. Staff, the day ends at 4 o'clock for them. So, I think flex time for 25 people as opposed to flex time for one person. I mean, I'm just thinking about, look at all the people that are here. Well, at our agenda review, we have even more people sitting in the room. So
It's not up to my discretion to take flex time. I have to have that approved
right.
by my principal, which
So
has been denied.
I think the alternative is you miss the agenda review and the rest of us continue with the schedule that we've got.
I really think that that's very disrespectful of me as a school board member. This is a school board meeting. The board sets the meeting dates and times. That's historically been the case for every single board member meeting that we've ever scheduled.
Right.
And we've always agreed on a time that all 5 of us could attend.
Right.
Always. That has always been the historical practice, is that we try to be as flexible and respectful of each other's schedules as we can, because it's important that all 5 districts are represented at every meeting. And I'm willing to work on any other, if there's another afternoon that we need to, whatever I can do. I'm just telling you, I can't be there at 9 o'clock in the morning on Tuesdays.
and I've always been flexible too. I've come earlier, sometimes 8 or 8:30 if it was need be. And again, that means that I'm up at 5:30 or 6 and driving an hour to get there. So, and I bet, when I did the schedule, I based it on what we agreed on at the organizational meeting and that we all agreed to at that time, so.
So you're not willing to consider any other time to meet?
Well, it's just that there's some things that have been scheduled based around that I have no control over rescheduling.
So you don't have a single afternoon, Monday through Friday at
I didn't
4:30?
say- I was talking about Tuesday.
Okay,
I haven't looked at those other days.
okay. Well,
I just looked at Tuesday because I didn't realize we were talking about other days.
I would just like to say I commend you for subbing,
thank you.
because that's our topic. We're short, and I think that's wonderful. And obviously,
Thank
you can't
leave a
No, I
class.
can't leave a classroom full of children,
Right.
no.
So, and I'm flexible with my business. It takes away from my business, but I'll work whatever schedule you need.
Thank you.
Do you know when you're done in May, by the way?
I would have to look up the last day of school. I know we're finished by the 1st of June, so.
And I'm just throwing this out. You were right. We have 4 meetings, 4 workshops.
Right.
And prior to this meeting, I wasn't at the workshop, unfortunately. I wasn't feeling well, and so I didn't really have a lot of opportunity to add comments. And I was thinking back to, first of all, we've not always had these workshops, but they've become incredibly valuable. And I was trying to look at, first, the opportunity for the workshops is for us to be able to hear what's on the agenda prior to the actual meeting. So that if something's coming up on the agenda, we have the opportunity to talk with each of these individuals about what those are, how does it impact us, et cetera. And yes, we agree that the 9 o'clock, I understand that. And Mr. Bickner mentioned that we do not need to vote on this, but it's more of an understanding. I'm available all day. I am concerned, and I started thinking about, well, really, who has to be at the workshops? That's the other side of it. Yes, a lot of folks come because they're available to us, but do all of those people really have to be at the workshop? And the handful of people that must be at the workshop are the IT people, because they would be the ones to actually record the meeting and put it out on YouTube. Ms. Sonora takes our minutes. I'm assuming Ms. Dennis would be there, although technically she doesn't have to be at a workshop. And Mr. Broski, and I'm just reiterating what Mr. Broski said at our workshop, that he will do whatever the board decides.
And the 5 board members.
Yeah, well, and obviously the 5 board members, most
Right.
definitely. And so we're talking 8, 9 people. It doesn't have to be the group that always shows up. I mean, I was trying to remember when the last time I called on Mr. Daly and said, Mr. Daly, what's going on with such and such? And generally when that happens, it's a phone call. It's not, I'm not going to wait for a workshop. I'm going to call and ask. The other thing we talked about, and I'm not certain what your commitments are on Tuesday afternoons, Ms. Bullock. You had mentioned, for instance, the next one coming up is right before the spelling bee, and
That's
I thought,
correct, at 6.
perfect. Spelling bee's at 6. We could do the workshop, spelling bee all in one. And then, I mean, when I look through my calendar, and people say, "What's a typical day of a school board member?" and I'm just like, wow. There isn't one. You know, sometimes you start early in the morning, and sometimes you're busy in the middle of the afternoon, and sometimes you're busy in the morning and the night, and it just depends on what's going on that day. And without support of secretaries or assistants of any sort, or an office for that matter, we're pretty much, we do what we can within the time. I threw out the idea, and I know you would like to be here physically. And I threw out the idea, and it came back to me when I was reading the minutes from our last workshop, that if we had a workshop at 3 o'clock, in the last workshop, I attended virtually for that matter, but it did indicate that I was in attendance at that workshop. And I know that each of us feels incredibly passionate about being here for everything and being available for whenever we are needed. And I don't know if 3 o'clock is an option for you, Ms. Bullock. It's not on Tuesdays.
Well, that's even worse, because that's kind of in the middle of the day there, rather than morning, or, like, the one where we had the spelling bee. Well, it makes sense. It goes from one to the other. That's something that I would probably be able to do.
And I couldn't do 3 o'clock either. My work day ends at 3:30, and then I'm downtown, so I have to.
Well, you wouldn't be able to be here, but this morning, I'll use this morning as an example. On my way to AMI, I was on a foundation workshop or a foundation meeting in my car, from 9 until 10, and I was finishing it up as I was walking up to the Augusta Savage building. Sometimes we have to do things to make it work, and boy, now with telecommunicating, it's like awesome. I mean, you can do it all. But I'm throwing that out as an option.
If it were just for myself to be represented on a board, I'd be fine with that. But I don't just represent myself, right? I was elected by a large number of citizens in Clay County, and I feel a duty and an obligation to attend physically the meetings that are scheduled for the school board. And like you said, Ms. Bola, I don't think that there are things that we address during the workshop that couldn't be addressed over the phone if staff can't make it to the meeting. But I think that, like you said, the essential people needed to have a school board meeting are your school board members and your superintendent. So I would hope that my board members would have respect for me as a board member and work with me on this.
Well, we certainly do have respect for you, and I applaud you for wanting to make all these meetings, but I feel like you said, it was disrespectful for us to not want to change it. I feel like that's disrespectful to our staff, that, we meet at 9 o'clock in the morning, and there are plenty of meetings where we ask Dr. Legucco a question, or we ask Miss Ellis, and we're coming up with more construction. We've always got questions for Miss Ellis. I mean, Miss Troutman's filling us in on stuff. It's not always, you're right, but it's good to have them in the room so that we can turn and ask Miss Tito a question or Miss Fogarty a question.
We're talking about one meeting a month. It's one meeting a month, and it's maybe an hour.
Right, so I'm going to turn that back on you and say we're talking about one meeting a month. One meeting a month that you could maybe just get with the superintendent and staff independently on your own, like we used to do before 2016 when we never even had an agenda review. We would get the agenda, we'd review it, and then we'd make our phone calls and get our questions. It's 4 months.
Because we don't vote or make any decisions at that time.
But that precludes me from any discussion that the board might have at that workshop. I don't get an opportunity to participate in the discussion that you all are having.
That's right.
If I'm not there.
That's right. You're right.
And so you don't value my input at a workshop meeting?
I think your input is very important, and I think you've chosen to take a job that interferes with the schedule that works for the superintendent and the rest of the board and staff.
I don't understand why it's such a hardship. We're meeting at 6 p.m. right now. This is once a month.
Scheduled, and this is
This would be scheduled as well.
Our organizational meeting that we have scheduled for years, so it's already in our schedule. So I think, to your point, you're meeting with your women's club. Well, there's 25 women in your women's club who meet at whatever time because you scheduled it based on our 9 o'clock meeting. Right. So now you're asking Mrs. Bullock to change her schedule and 25 women to change their schedule for the things that she does down in Keystone. And there's many things. I don't know what else you've got, but I know you're always going to something. So it's not just
I don't see how I'm
5
asking
of us.
25 women in Keystone to change their schedule. That's not what I'm
If you're
requesting.
asking Mrs. Bullock to change her schedule to 4:30 on a Tuesday,
Uh-huh.
and she already has a meeting with her women's group at 3 o'clock on a Tuesday, she can't make it unless she asks them to switch their schedule.
I see what you're saying.
That's what I'm saying, is
Well,
that
that's
you're
why I'm saying
inconveniencing others.
if there's another afternoon, I'm willing to do any other afternoon. Surely there's an opening somewhere in your calendar that we can schedule a workshop that everybody's schedule can work with.
What's the probability of doing a Zoom meeting for the workshop?
Can you speak into the microphone, please?
What's the probability of doing a Zoom meeting for the workshop? Because we're just beginning to get the information and we haven't.
If we all attend electronically, I feel like that would be a fair representation.
Yep.
But just for me, I don't think that
I'm talking about
for
as a meeting,
everyone.
Instead of having to show up in person, we set a time, and that way you wouldn't even have to drive up for such a meeting, because it's just really the preliminary start of a discussion.
It's the only concern that I have, and Mr. Bickner, I'm going to call on you for this one. If we did a Zoom, well, we did Zoom meetings, we did Zoom workshops prior to or during the COVID epidemic, even though we're still in the COVID epidemic, but you understand what I'm talking about. But if we did Zoom meetings, basically they would just have to be recorded and put online. Is that correct?
I I think we
to
have
be in the public.
We have to allow public questions. We
That's
have to
true.
allow
What,
comment.
They have to
public
be noticed.
questions, so.
There's no difference between them. They have to be noticed. They have to have public input, and they have to have, it's like any workshop.
Mhm.
But that would be an option for us to move our workshops to a Zoom meeting instead of a
It's
in-person meeting.
It's the board's decision that can do that. Now, what are the limitations on Zoom meetings? Since they have repealed almost everything that allowed Zoom meetings in almost every forum, I would have to go back and look to see what we can and can't do in Zoom.
Right.
And it is a workshop. It's not a
It's a
meeting where
workshop.
we're making
That's correct.
decisions.
There is
We're
no-
not voting, we're not,
It's a-
basically, we're just getting the same
it
information that the
occasionally-
public's getting.
It occasionally rolls from a workshop to a meeting where there are decisions made.
Right.
But
And we're
that's not
looking
usual.
at the next 4 meetings, basically.
Yeah, I don't know what's scheduled for them.
We have 4 meetings between now and the end of May, for workshops.
I would say if it rolls to something where we need to meet, then that
I can't hear you, I'm sorry.
I would think that if we have 1 out of 4 where we have to meet, that one meeting, then we would show up, but the others would be probable for Zoom.
We're still relying on IT people who normally leave at 4. I'm bringing up other people, and there are other commitments,
That are
second
in.
jobs, et cetera, at 4 o'clock.
Right.
Parental responsibilities. I know that a lot of people stay after 4 and they wouldn't mind. I know that as well. However, I'm trying to come up with an alternative, and a Zoom at 3:30. I mean, you could Zoom in your car.
I sure could, yeah.
I could Zoom in my pajamas. No, I'm sorry, I didn't. But if we could do something at 3:30, but unfortunately your meeting is at 3, I understand?
No, I didn't say what time. I just said, I mean, I would just have to know, again, it might be that I have to be at another location to be able to do that,
Did you Zoom from your home during?
I could, or I could also do
Yeah.
it on my phone. I mean,
Right,
I-
right,
you know,
okay.
I could do
Well,
that.
I'm making certain that everybody has access to it. So Mr. Broski, are you still there?
Yes, ma'am.
Would you like to make any comment to this at this point?
No, I kind of spoke my piece at the workshop. I totally understand and am willing to do whatever the board decides by consensus. I think I would be remiss if I did not point out the issue with senior staff. I think as a person that is responsible for senior staff, it's logical for me to come to that conclusion. I appreciate the debate that everyone is having out there relative to this topic, and of course I'll honor whatever the consensus of the board is.
So if we did a Zoom meeting for the next 4 workshops at 3:30 in the afternoon, that would be, and we're talking 4 dates, we're talking February 22nd, we're talking March 29th, April 26th, and May 24th. Do you think that would be feasible? And if we needed to build any other workshop items into a workshop, we would have to probably do an evening meeting at that stage to accommodate everyone. But just for the basic agenda review, do you think that would be doable? And Mr. Daly, go ahead, Mr. Broski.
If that's the decision of the board, I will make that work.
Mr. Daly, do you see that as one of the senior personnel, senior staff? Do you see that working? You guys are not on the Zoom meetings, but you're available in case we need to touch base with you. And that we're talking 3:30 on a Tuesday. And most of the agenda items would be coming up rather quickly at the beginning of the agenda versus the discussion items that might be more special. Do you think that would work with staff in general?
If the items that were pertinent to the staff members were front-loaded at the beginning of the meeting, because you're correct, I mean, people have childcare, I have a job at 5 o'clock every day, and, there's other obligations. And so I think this sounds like an effective compromise. We'd have to shift the work pattern in the sense that, like, if you anticipated something from my shop, I could have that ready at the beginning. So, for me, I think I could make it work.
May I ask a question, Ms. Bola?
Yes, please.
When you're considering this, you're talking about 4 meetings, and then sounds as though you think that the problem is going to disappear come June. And I haven't heard, Ms. Gilhousen, whether or not you're going to be employed in this same position throughout next year.
Yes, I would
Okay,
be.
so the
yeah.
problem doesn't change at the end of June, or beginning of June. It changes for 3 months.
However, at the beginning, in June, we would be able to meet at
We
9
could meet at
o'clock.
9 o'clock
three
in
We
June
can
and July.
reevaluate perhaps, knowing that, if, let's say, that 3:30 time slot works, or if it doesn't work, it's one of those being flexible and trying something different. Go
May I
ahead.
say something? Do you want to just eliminate agenda review workshops?
No.
Because it sounds like,
No.
it doesn't seem to me like the Zoom meeting, probably, I mean, we've done them before. It's not as effective as being face-to-face, like Ms. Gilhousen said. But I'm opposed to moving this from 9 o'clock. I'm just going to say that right now. I think we're not considering staff. And that really upsets me that we're expecting, Mr. Daly just said he has a second job at 5 o'clock. Many of our staff have other commitments, whether they're picking up children or whatever. So this one meeting a month, they jump through hoops for tonight because it's part of their requirement. But now we're imposing another day on them. I just don't think that's fair. I think it's really inconsiderate on our part to expect staff to have to extend their day because one board member has taken a job. I'm sorry, Ashley. I mean, I know you want to be here and be a part of it, but I think, you've chosen to take another job when you have this commitment as a school board member, a commitment to your voters and the constituents and staff. And you're asking, everybody else to take flex time, 20 of them or whatever. I don't agree with that. And I don't think, I
If we
personally don't
did
want
it
to
at
do a Zoom
3:30,
meeting.
we would have a half hour. Generally, our workshops don't go much beyond a half hour. At least recently they haven't, because we haven't had additional information coming to us or additional workshop information. We're looking at three or four workshops coming up, and I'm trying to help us be flexible so that we can work together. There are only 5 of us. I mean, yeah, I like it at 9 o'clock too, but
I do too.
unfortunately, somebody is actually helping the problem by subbing. I'm like, wait a minute, let's look at what we can do to help in that situation as well. First of all, Mr. Bickner needs to find out if we can Zoom, number one, if we decide to go to 3:30. If we decide not to go to 3:30, then it'll probably stay as is. Obviously, Ms. Bullock has commitments in the late afternoon, so 4:30 is not going to work.
Well, and just look at, okay, say we Zoom at 3:30, and if the meeting goes, then at 6, I have to be at Lake Asbury Junior High for the spelling bee.
We all do.
But I know, but you don't have to come from Keystone to get there.
Yeah.
So in other words, if we do it at 3:30 and the meeting doesn't get over, I've got to be on the road by 5 in order to make it. I'm just saying, while I Zoom in,
How early does your day start? Is there any way we could do the morning and move it up a little bit?
We could meet at 5 o'clock.
I leave.
Zoom.
I leave my home at 6:30 in the morning to get to work on time.
I think one of the reasons I suggest Zoom, even though I'm not a big fan of Zoom, we've all had to do it the last couple of years, but we don't have a big, robust conversation at the agenda review initially. So I think we can get away with at least trying it and see where it goes. I mean, quite honestly, 9 o'clock on a Tuesday morning is very inconvenient for me, but I took on this position, so I recognize.
and you knew that was the time because that was said at the organizational
Well, I'm not
meeting.
going to go against
No, but
the
I mean,
board.
but you knew that that was agreed on at the organizational meeting, so you knew.
But it's
Bill
easier
did
for
it.
me to do a later in the day, where it's harder for staff. So we all have to.
Well, Mr. Bickner, why don't you give us an opinion and you can email it to us? I mean, obviously, we're not coming up with any decision now. And we'll just wait for your email on what can and can't be done, and we'll go forward from there.
Sounds good. I should have it by Tuesday.
Thank you.
We'll have to further this discussion. I'm sorry. Ms. Bullock?
Well, I'd just like to do a shout out to the Keystone Heights High School girls basketball team. They'll be playing in their class for the district championship tomorrow night. This morning, we had a student from Keystone Heights High School do the program at the about wrestling at the Kiwanis Club I was in. A shout out to the great chorus and band students, did a phenomenal job, and to the directors, the secondary directors that directed the elementary chorus. They did a wonderful presentation, and they showed why they're the chorus teachers. They did a great job. That's all.
Thank you. Ms. Kirkus?
The first thing, I'd like our staff to look into the drop extension that was brought up during public comment. If it's something that our district could do, I'd like us to look into it because, as we all said, there's a shortage. And here we have teachers with, years of experience and certifications that we could really be, continue to use. So I'd like staff to look into that and follow up and let us know, if we can do it, why we're not doing it. And let us see what we can do to change that, if at all possible. And I'd like to give a shout out to our science fair students. I sat there, went down Tuesday, our Rotary runs the science fair, or helps with the science fair, and we had some amazing projects. I don't know if anybody got down there to see them, but boy, those kids are just the brightest of the bright. One child student did a robotic arm, and it was just amazing. So good job to all of them and our teachers who support it and promote it. I saw lots of administrators and teachers down there, so I appreciate that they put in all that hard work. And the last thing was, and Ms. Rieger touched on it already, but I just want to say that Clay County did lose a dear friend. Our own Becky Smith, she passed away. And we all remember Becky coming up to our meeting. She would take her time sauntering up to that podium, and then she let us have it. And she was well known at our board meetings, always advocating for students and the employees and her fellow employees, our bus drivers. I think she was part of the reason why she wouldn't let us forget how bad our health insurance was and how poorly the bus drivers were paid and the conditions. And so I think she was a true advocate, a trailblazer. And thanks to her, we've been able to improve all of that. She really championed for the transportation department. And she'll be greatly missed by Clay County. I consider her one of my dear friends. I know we all did, and we're all going to miss her greatly. And her family's in our thoughts and prayers still. Thank you.
Ms. Clark?
I just want everybody to know that was here tonight, that these are all items that we have been discussing and we have been working on. The letter from the Department of Health, I had quite a few calls about that, and obviously it has an opt-out. So if we can tweak it, that's great. As far as teachers, we've got an issue and we know it. When I went to school, my generation, you were either a nurse or a teacher. And now women have wonderful opportunities to be doctors and lawyers and accountants and things that they couldn't necessarily be before. So we're thinning out, number one, the number of people that are even going to go into teaching, which is sad. But it's definitely something we're working on very hard, I know. So, and ESE, obviously, it's a given that with the COVID and the changes that we had to make, we know that those children suffered more as far as learning and being able to stay up to speed. So it's not forgotten about at all. And I think that was, as far as the drop program, I've actually beaten on the superintendent quite a few times about it. So I know other people are too. So we're doing what the state will allow us to do and hopefully come up with something.
Oh, so many comments. First of all, thank you, Oakleaf. You made us proud tonight. It was lovely to see all of the students that could be here. I hope the jazz ensembles did well today. The concert the other night was phenomenal. It was date night for my husband and I. It was delightful. We went out for dinner afterwards, and he kept marveling at the fact that the junior high kids played jazz so well, and that the high school students just pick it right up. And after you realize in all of our concerts that have been going on this past month, oh my gosh, the elementary concert and having one of our Oakleaf students be the concert on the Green winner last year and playing at the elementary chorus concert. And there were just so many things to see on Facebook. I've seen all sorts of concerts and things, even though I couldn't necessarily be there, and it was wonderful. The participation of these students and the parents is spectacular. I hope that we can come up with an agreeable solution. And I am somewhat dismayed that we can't, as 5 people, come up with the same decision, and I apologize, because I know it took a lot of thought and a lot of heart searching, soul searching to go into a job, a full-time position. Having walked out of a classroom to come to this position, it was incredibly difficult. And there's so many comments that I want to make about drop. Ms. Lyons, you and I have talked before. We know that the law allows us to do 3 years. I think this may be the year that we need to discuss it even more. So thank you for bringing that up to all of us. At this time, the attorney-client session pursuant to Florida Statute 286.011, parens 8. This session is closed to the public and to anyone other than those persons designated in the Florida Statute 286.011.8. And I will ask that all of you please leave the room now, and we will have the continuation of our meeting.